before I forget, fuck, I try to. So, one of the things I've been having problems with is, I'm not changing the subject. Certain websites have so many, they have a lot of elements, and some of them are dynamic, and some of them want to reload and do all sorts of crazy shit or something. And so there are news articles about this. First female Canadian Vice Chief of Defense Staff. But Google don't want to show it to me. Google's a dick. What a chauvinistic dick. Even the mouse. I don't know if I know the mic got a lot of background.
But it has to be. I'm killing out.
First female Canadian Vice Chief of Defense Staff. I would know her name and everything about her by now, but the website with the story doesn't want to cooperate with my attempt to load the website. I read it and then it lets me down and everything fucks up. So.
Like I'm the last of a dying breed.
That's when there's something wrong with your website. It's not my computer. It's only your domain does that, so I'm not going to say which one it is.
You can remind me of mac and cheese. It is what it has to be. I'm
I
chilling
don't
out
check.
what's after me.
No, fuck off. There's lots of traffic. There's more money for advertising.
They flying like there's a trampoline. These bitches couldn't marry a guy. It was a Magdalene. I shot like a little bro with Tagalog. These instrumentals we got be bragging on. It's Rose with beer bro classes, riches with Dragamon. The nigga with the gator.
I found these. Apparently they were under the snow.
We were slapping that back and forth like a tether ball. Used to live on Fletcher Street, right in the Esplanade.
This one has a very small snail shell inside of it.
Niggas in potential network. Chopping in shifts to be win. Like a net for the cylinder. I was a spin. I connect for it right into your
Somewhere between 1.5 to 2 millimeters.
When you go on toys, all music. Maybe when we go on toys, all shootings. Like other shots got kicked, I gotta shoot it. Nigga, if you talk that talk, you gotta do it. Why did you I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a downgrade. Why did you I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a downgrade. Like he just wanna go on tour and make music.
It's the apex predator at the top of the food chain. Part of these, maybe not so much about meat, but he's part of the decomposer. It's some of them eat fresh.
I call it Applebee's. Who the fuck trying to get stuck? Tell them ask for me. That match pack about to get struck.
I brought the gasoline and never lost.
I got OGs to get it back for me. Call me down, call me the crown, call me your majesty, God. They try to handle me, not. No, I'll play that. The bullets in that gray Mac 8-track, they go way back. About them all, top your mom.
Just to break down into nutrients for the plants.
Already covered in face tats, boy. Why they always trying to snake that boy? Charlie got the defibrillator to shake that boy. Forget about it, you turn me to Rocky ASAP, boy. I'm the last of a dying breed. They wanna break that boy. Like you bringing all that beat to the
from an engineering standpoint, that is incredible.
Respect in the streets, I can't stand with you.
Also mimics
you a threat on the beat.
my hair. Those are DNA strands.
Like a beast in his face. Crash Bandicoot. Pull up with a camera crew. Cannons in your face now.
When it's
Anybody that's lying to us is like in face down.
It'd be more
White
conical,
boy,
wouldn't
nice
it?
with a pen. This ain't no 8-9. We playing hopscotch in the spots where the body's traced out. Cause when you go on tour, it's all music. And baby, when we go on tour, it's just shootings. Drive-bys, your eyes wide shut, we gone Kubrick. See, we ain't really battle that talk, we just do shit. I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down bread. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down bread. Like he just wanna go on tour and make music. I'm the last of a down bread. But every time you go on tours, it's all shootings. I'm the last of a down
He's actually got a hole.
eyes look like the Siamese. I got that beam from the Japanese. My French girl wave, you can remind me of mac and cheese. It is what it has to be. I'm killing out who's after me. The
right fucking there.
Rich, and I swear, what's it financially? Like who we frontin' for? They flying like there's a trampoline. These bitches could have married a guy. It was a Magdalene. My shop like a little bro with Tagalog. It's these instrumentals. We got
Porsche.
Roseway, beer glass bridges. We drag them out. The nigga with the gas. The Megatron, landing in Lebanon. You was slapping that back.
Internet advertising, who knows if that's real?
Used to live on French Street, right in the Esplanade.
I didn't buy it.
Bitches run the ship and make us film it like espionage. You know that's why it's set for it. Like, why you niggas ain't protect your neck for? Chopping in ships till we win. Like connect for the cylinder, always a spin. I'll connect for it right into the dome when I get it out the chest to joy rapper. When you go on tour, it's all music. Maybe when we go on tour, it's all shootings. Like other shots got kicked, I gotta shoot it. Nigga, if you talk that talk, you gotta do it. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down bread. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down bread. Like he just wanna go on tour and make music.
Giveaways. If it doesn't, if I just give you half of a rhyme, there's no rhyme. It's somebody else's line.
Yeah, I'm the last of a dying breed. I'll put these bucks in the chin and they fly with ease. I bleed what I have to bleed. This blood's what I have to see. So thick, go sit with your fam. I call it Applebee's. Who the fuck trying to get stuck? Tell them ask for me. That match pack about to get struck. I brought the gasoline. I've never lost. I got OGs to get it back for me. Call me down, calm with a crown. Call me your majesty, God. They try to handle me, Lord. No, I'll play that. The bullets in that gray Mac A-track. They go way back. Volume up, top your mug, like where the safe at. The numbers on your head, you already covered in face tats, boy. Why they always trying to snake that, boy? Charlie got the defibrillator to shake that, boy. Forget about it, you turn me to Rocky ASAP, boy. I'm the last of a dying breed that wanna break that, boy. Like, you bringing all that beef to the farm, my man's branded you. If you don't get respect in the streets, I can't stand with you. They tell you a threat on the beat, your man's scamming you. The Benz is like a beast when it spins. Crash Bandicoot, pull up with a camera crew, cannons in your face now. Anybody that's liking to us is liking face down. White boy, nice with a pen. This ain't no 8 Mile. We playing hopscotch in the spots where the body's traced out. Cause when you go on tour, it's all music. And baby, when we go on tour, it's just shootings. Drive-bys, your eyes wide shut, we gone Kubrick. See, we ain't really about all that talk, we just do shit. I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down bread. Why they try me? I wear my heart on my iron sleeve. I'm the last of a down bread. Like he just wanna go on tour and make music. I'm the last of a down bread. But every time you go on tours, it's all shootings. I'm the last of a down bread.
Piano and a drummer on stage with you for this shit.
No Dreamcast, let them know. I was born to grow up abandoned and poor. Take medications that make me tired and also sore. I never asked for this, it just kinda came. Now I'm trying to make money, I'm after the fame. Can't blame me, for everything that went bad. My dad was an alcoholic, he drank till he passed out. I lived in constant doubt, I always had to shout to get my point across. I lived in about 100 different group homes, never had the same bed for a month. I fought the war, they kept on changing my meds, they kept on changing my mood. I couldn't stick down when I was 12. It's nothing new, it's nothing new. That's how I was raised. Went through all elementary school getting hazed. I met this girl at Central Wood terribly wrong. That's just another reason for emotion in this song.
That's the way the Hardy's vibes.
Through the thick and the thin, been lost in the struggle, still I'm striving to win. Sin in my soul, boils these decisions down. King of depression held down by your glittering crown. After pops died, mama had to keep on the back. Now I'm trying to make fat stacks off of these tracks, trying to be the best at all these things that I do. Say fuck the world, I roll with an infinite crew. Trife times, night crimes make me wanna give in. No surrendering from all these places I've been. This is for my bad health and the things I create. This is for my world and all of the things that I face. Every moment above ground is a gift from above. Through the pains in the field, towards hate and the love. Gotta keep trucking even if I might break shit. And all the people keep telling me you're gonna make it.
We'll do that again. Oh, I have to. If 3 cops beat up somebody for no good reason with me standing there, these people are not going to like the cops, me, or any sense of peace and quiet. All I said when I walked up, I started saying very loudly, "Don't hurt him." Now they know somebody's watching. That's not going to help them if they hurt him. That's all they need to know. I was, I don't know, 5 meters away. I don't know.
Welcome to Big Ball Matters, a podcast about big ball people, politics, land, and water.
I went around the car. There's a car that, no, I'm going to get in between you and the car somehow. The fuck? You can open the door closest to him. I'll stay next to the door on the other side because you're not likely to open that door once he's in there. I'm not going in there. I'm going to one of the other cars. That's on the other side of the car. Inside of the parking lot. Oh, it would be very not strategic of me to be where they tried to pretend I was. And there's cameras in the parking lot. Thank you. Thank you.
This past Thursday, Big Ball Matters was
they're going to try to do something. If they didn't already do something stupid, just get me arrested. Although they sat here for 6 or 7 fucking hours and then smashed the door. I answered the door 5 fucking times.
Bill Bryden gave a graphic slide presentation outlining the environmental impact of marine net pen salmon farms
they said, and
of the sort that have been set up in Newfoundland. Impacts including breeding, wild salmon,
what's this smashing the door open shit?
Pollution from the toxic additives in salmon feed
pellets. Got rid of the bed bugs. I didn't know they were nesting in the fucking door. I didn't know they
used to control disease in the salmon, and from pesticides to control
so every time I saw them coming from the doorway, they were. They weren't always coming from somebody's house. They were coming from the door. That's why I might not see them ever. Somebody else might have seen them coming from my door.
The provincial government uses low standards as a competitive advantage to attract operations that would not be allowed elsewhere. Many of the aquaculture operations are based on the south coast, where changes in traditional fisheries make survival for residents and communities very difficult. But there's growing resistance to marine aquaculture in Newfoundland and elsewhere. The Port Bay Fishery Committee is one of the applicants in the case currently before the Supreme Court of Newfoundland and Labrador. The case involves an expansion plan for the Indian Head Hatchery in nearby Stephenville. The expansion would result in a 50% increase in capacity. But despite the size of the expansion and the problems associated with marine aquaculture, there has been no environmental assessment. And that's because of legal loopholes being challenged in the case. The challenge was filed by Equal Justice
Canada's largest environmental law
where I'm
charity.
not from. You can
Sarah
deduce where I
McDonald
must be
is one
from.
of the lawyers on the case. I reached her in Halifax.
The Indian Head Hatchery expansion project is, well, the idea is to expand the Indian Head Hatchery in Stephenville to accommodate more fish. So right now the hatchery has a production capacity of, I believe it's 4.5 million fish or salmon smolt per year. And it is trying to increase that capacity to approximately 6.7 million smolt per year. So it's an increase of almost 50%, which is pretty significant, I would say. And then those additional 2.2 million fish will eventually be transferred to open net pens on Newfoundland's southern coast that are run by a company called Northern Harvest Sea Farms, which is a sister company to the company that runs the hatchery, Northern Harvest Smolt, both of which are now owned by Marine Harvest.
See, that's
So it's a 1, 2, 3. There's
problems become endemic. There's no incentive to change. It's disincentivized to fix things and incentivized to fuck them up.
The hatchery is a land-based operation, yes. So how it works is that they grow the salmon smolt at the hatchery. So they grow them until they're large enough and old enough to be transferred into salt water, into the ocean. They will be raised in fresh water in the hatchery, and then immediately, once they're big enough, they will be transferred to open net pens on Newfoundland's southern coast.
Now, your case involves the decision of the minister, the Newfoundland Minister of the Environment, that the expansion does not have to go through an environmental assessment. And I understand the argument is that this is covered by the Agriculture Act, not the Environmental Assessment Act, so therefore nothing required.
Literally from a
sort of. It's a bit more nuanced
people walking around
than that.
outpatients,
So,
inpatients and outpatients of
the hatchery itself did go through,
it's not like they were gonna hurt.
I guess what I would call the lowest level of environmental assessment.
If I had to pretend to be crazy.
So, in Newfoundland,
but the satellites
a number of different types of projects are required to be registered for environmental assessment, and they did that for the hatchery itself, for the expansion of the hatchery.
It has to do with that.
When they registered, when they provided the information to the minister as part of the environmental assessment, they only provided information on the land-based part of the project. They didn't provide any information about, specifically where the fish will be going once they go into the ocean, once they enter the open net pens. They didn't assess any of the potential environmental impacts associated with that part of the project. They were only required to register the information about the land-based portion, so the actual expansion of the hatchery on land. And what we're saying is that they should actually have been required to register and assess the entire project, incling the ocean-based portion. So including where those fish are going to end up on the southern coast, what potential impacts that could have, et cetera, et cetera. And the argument against that is that Northern Harvest Smolt, the company that registered this project, says that the fish will only go into sea pens that have already been licensed under the Aquaculture Act. So those pens are already operating. They're not operating at their full capacity because they don't have, they're not full. Like they could take more fish, but they are licensed already, and so they can just dump more fish in there without requiring any more assessment of the potential impacts.
Good point.
And is there under the Aquaculture Act, is there an environmental assessment component there, as there is under the Environmental Impact Act?
No, you don't understand. Like, I know I'm overdoing it.
There is some requirement to, like, I would say a very minimal requirement to look at some environmental effects, but nothing compared to
money for me
an environmental assessment in terms of the scope of the information required, the length of the review, and the public participation that are required
in an actual environmental assessment under the Environmental Protection Act.
Now, there was
you
a similar
things,
case ruled on by the
criminal.
Newfoundland Supreme Court
I'd say
involving another operation on the south coast. Also, that case.
Hear the things I'm saying.
Sure. So, I mean, I should clarify that I didn't work on that case, but my understanding is that in the Placentia Bay case, there were three components of the project. There was a hatchery.
These people are not
there were
talking.
A bunch of new sea pens, open net pens that are planned to go into Placentia Bay, and there is also a processing facility. So in that case, there were a number of arguments, some of which don't really relate at all to the arguments we're making with respect to the Indian Head hatchery. But the argument that was similar was that
catch shit is sitting right there.
In that case, Grieg, the company developing that project, had registered the open net pens and the hatchery for environmental assessment, but they had not included the processing facility in their registration. They were going to do that one separately. So the applicants argued that they had to register all three components of the project together. And they did lose on that argument at the Supreme Court level.
I guess the overlap between that case and your case, a similar issue, is that these are sort of it's a sort of interconnected project. One is related to the other rather than being distinct from it.
Yes, absolutely. And I would like to also say that so in Newfoundland right now, the policy is to not subject open net pens, so like sea cages containing farmed salmon, to environmental assessment unless they're accompanied by some sort of land-based infrastructure. So in our view, companies are using this as sort of a loophole to separate their land-based structures from their open net pens when it comes to environmental assessment, so that they never have to subject any open net pens to environmental assessment under the Environmental Protection Act in Newfoundland.
It's called the EPA?
That's essentially the core of our concern. And it's why we think this case.
So you get a Newfie in the U.S. screaming about the Environmental Protection Act.
Indian Head hatchery case is specifically
not only knows the words agency. You should say act for so long.
Specific implications for what it shows us and tells us about the regulatory environment in Newfoundland, which I guess the Newfoundland government sees it as a sort of competitive advantage that in other jurisdictions there are more stringent requirements, and here are not. And that's an invitation for the multinationals like Grieg to come here.
We know, I mean, Marine Harvest, since moving into Newfoundland, has been applying for numerous new open net pen sites at the same time as they're developing this hatchery expansion. Yet they're claiming that the fish from this hatchery expansion will go to existing
just in case somebody
open
does
net
say it,
conveniently,
you've been talking
whereas
about
all of their new open net pens will be sourcing fish from New Brunswick or Prince Edward Island, so they won't be required to undergo environmental assessment because they're technically not accompanied by land-based infrastructure in Newfoundland.
They can
Your
occupy
case
a
was filed
space
in April.
smaller
Where is it
than the
now
size
in
of their
the
body.
system?
We're still, I mean, we've had, all of our deadlines have been set for submitting our written arguments and that sort of thing, and we have a court date currently scheduled for November 6th and 7th in St. John's.
I see.
And tell anybody I can do that. Dude, if I tell people you can do that,
has a response been filed by the government of
Stand
Newfoundland and Labrador?
Yes, they have filed a response. They have not yet filed their full arguments, their briefs, but they filed a short response to our initial application, yes.
And are there interveners, the operators?
So all I did was get like
just you and the government.
1 year head start on it. Well,
Northern Harvest Smolt was added as the second respondent.
You people that get
so they have full party status as well.
Fatigued from doing all these meetings and shit on the internet.
And would you expect the case to be complete on those 2 days, November 6th and 7th?
How things are so hard. You know how to fix something? Take your kid's food and smash it on the lands.
At this point,
I'm sorry, everybody. My kid threw the food on the land. Barely, can you hear me?
Things things happen.
I can't see
say that
myself.
for absolutely.
I tried cleaning
Sarah
it. It's worse. I
McDonald
used a baby right now.
Equal
All fucked up.
Justice. Mi'kmaq
Complaining
Matters has
about
reached
having
out to
pop-up
the
appearances.
Newfoundland Environment Department and to
creativity.
Northern Harvest. So far, we haven't received a
You're
reply.
complaining that you
We'll
can't
let
go
you
to
know
the
if
gym.
we do.
Cancel your membership. Buy more gym clothes. No, because then every video you make is change your clothes before every meeting and every video. So if anybody did reviews them all,
Thanks to our radio
psychologically, it looks like
partners, Bay of
more
Islands Radio,
work and
Voice
days
of
than it may have
Bombay,
actually been.
CHMR, and now
Or you
our
can do
Meal
like I did.
Brigade,
Change
First
very
Nation Radio.
slowly, all the time.
Like us
slowly.
on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. I'm Glenn Wheeler. Till next time.
No, I need people to be able to recognize me even with my face covered up. This is an issue. So I guess the one thing me and the doppelganger have going for us now is we don't got our faces covered. No matter who he looks like, does it? Or who I look like. Or what? Or what? Jesus, bro, you are fucking sick in the head. No, you've got the pathology. No, I don't want to talk about this. I'm just tired of talking about sick people. I'd sooner switch back to talking about crackheads. You remember when all you could talk about was crackheads because they were fucking everywhere? And no? Where the hell did you live? You didn't go through that phase. Fucking goddamn crackheads. No, you'll be sitting at somebody's house and somebody will come in the door cussing. You already know, some stupid person said something stupid out on the sidewalk. Tried to do something stupid.
I ain't no downtown clown. I run the mellow ass sounds, the real shit, boy, straight from the dead now.
There's guys that people know around the neighborhood. Just the idea one time to steal a bunch of sunglasses from what's actually a jewelry store, but he's got like a rack of sunglasses outside. I think it's supposed to make you look up at his camera, trying to not have the store robbed. Everybody in the neighborhood, blah blah blah, is about this guy. And it's like, well, he's running a business, and I know all you drunkies want to rob him.
Trash and pawn shops, wanting city trends, cause I'm giving niggas speed knots. Yeah, there ain't no frontin' on the
apartment we were in was above a laundromat. So this idiot runs into the laundromat. Some police officer who's chasing me. I wasn't out there. I was in the fucking house. Comes running up the stairs. It was 13 stairs and then 5. I had to do that 100 times a day.
Dirty biz for niche with Papa Hash. Digger, stash, know what I'm saying? I'm out the range like steak on soup. If your record ain't out by now, fucking blue. I ain't here to welcome faggot imitations. I smell the brothers so much I pay for
There's no exit or anything off
I got
his desk.
shorties in every reversible corners while stops wreck trash like
Telling me he was chasing somebody that had ran through the apartment. He fucked up. I don't remember if I was smoking weed or whatever. And at the time, it was serious.
I do my tracks like country black, say fat back.
Sort of,
Put in a sack of crack, crushing it.
some idiots got us all arrested.
The rest, any notions are coming west.
I was the non-idiot in the situation.
On the sets, I do no less than my best to let you know your assets was dropped on the rocket set. Check, stay out the park if you're scared in the door. Understand, I'll be around. Straight from the dead.
You need to move stupidly, I'm stupid, west, which the left, we don't. Ain't to miss you, pointing at the head, not the chest, so fuck you, roll up yourself. We ain't both good, the shit that will get you fucking hooked up, you have to get tested. Put some people down waiting for it. Put those blanks at the next song so we could come back and do it again. I should rock the unit local hat, the union hat, and the Harvey's hat at the same time.
Yo, come along, follow the man, my controller who will hold you like a stiff dick, will work you like a flick trick. I'm crazy back, the shit is getting ill sick, and deck out the verbs, nigga, it's the big nicks. Coming fat from the vats of black wax. In fact, I cramp stacks of acts upon the shelves so fans can help themselves. I prove my record sales. Move along, cause yo, there ain't no pausing. I'm causing catastrophe. I hate to be the one coming after. chastity, black dick dastardly. I heat them up even in winter. I spin the beginners. I'm eating pussies for dinner, but just remember, I ain't no downtown clown. I run the mellow ass sounds, the real shit, boy, straight from the dead ground. Five for five, wanted dead or alive. From the soft pretenders with sour cream and chives, no job. If I was you, I'd come through and catch a dose of my strict technique, straight from Suicide Street. I work a beat like a cop, trash and pawn shops, frontin' city trends, cause I'm giving niggas speed now. Yeah, there ain't no frontin' on the fact, consider deadly in my habitat, like a police fly trap. I run the G-Bass sounds, I'm putting real shit down, so check shorty, straight from the dead ground. Your dead land kids, dirty beers for niggas, revive a hash, dig a stash, know what I'm saying? I'm out the range like steak or sewer.
Finding planters that are empty and abandoned. Concrete ones.
I ain't here to welcome faggot imitations. I smother brothers so much I pay for mass suffocation. I got shorties in irreversible cones, while styles wreck trash like super vets doing donuts. Chill out and post it out the Barbary Coast where queens be on the scenes and less than our machine. I do my tracks like country blacks, ain't fat back, doper than a sack.
My screen was showing everything all red for a second.
Putting the rest in the notions are coming west.
So we know this thing can see infrared because when I put my cell phones up to it, you can see the infrared sensor, the proximity sensor.
Check, stay out the park if you're scared of the dog, understand? I'll be around, straight from the deck.
GPU info app on F-Droid, it'll show you that shit. Or actually, no, SAT stats. They might both show it. One of them will show you, as you put your hand over it, the light sensor and the proximity sensor both go off. That's why I can turn my phone on. I know that's like a standard feature now on these $1,200 phones, but I got this in 2014. I accidentally figured out how to interrupt the boot process. Oh, now that flashing light I cannot see with my eye, and I doubt that you could either. And I'm not sure why it flashes, but I'm also not sure why the one on the other phone is continuous. I love this music. I love this music, but too much.
Hey.
So,
what do you want to do?
I don't know. Officially, it's supposed to be 1 sec.
I just want to kick it with you.
So, and that's literally the song. You can see how.
I just want to kick it with you, too.
So it's pocket. It should turn off. Yeah, my phone's so fucked up somehow. I had to keep locking and unlocking the screen. I'm gonna wear out my fucking power button. I think they're good for 500,000 uses or some cycles, something like that. Yeah, immediate micro switches good for 500,000, a million, or 2 million. Is it micro switches or? Am I thinking of fire door exit devices? Electric locks. Good for 500,000 to a million cycles or something. Unless somebody hacks saws open the fucking frame and steals it, which I don't know who you're selling it to. Can you just go back to a different laundromat and keep doing that with the same, like I don't get it, or whatever business has one. It's typically laundromats. Because anywhere else, the only place to be unattended is where there's a residential building, people going in and out all the time. There's nobody staying there. And the other one is
break out the vipers, lot of
business. The laundromat.
Break out the vapors.
Once the door locks, you know there's nobody there. You know there's nobody there. These assholes cut the fucking thing. Supposedly they cost $500 and they're worth $500 or something. I would go lock that door every night whenever I felt like it and go get a cup. Fuck locking the door. God damn. You want to do laundry at 3 in the morning? Perfect. I want to make money at 3 in the morning. That's off peak hours.
When I hit my sign, when I press me wanted, I feel that bass on my MP3. Smoke that weed, that ganja. When I feel real hot, when I hit this light, I feel my soul on fire.
Times is hard, no doubt, different ways to struggle. No stranger to the bank, to failure, to raise a hustle. Plus what? About $20 for a day's work. Out of luck, I turn a white tee into a gray shirt. Ain't no punk on me, maintain Hollywood respect. Do my thing, I get the look and shit. Got the good and
with an old piece of barbed wire if you don't yourself make runs to scrapyard. I'm gonna hurt myself and a bunch of other people with it, and I don't mean on purpose. Oh, what? Someone's gonna walk through the door. Ow! Yeah, look out for my barbed wire, bro. You knocked it on the floor again. Just a piece hanging off the fence. It's like the last piece on this fence, and somehow somebody didn't get loose. Yeah, she's all rusty. Yeah,
I know what an atheist is. I'll live forever as a blood stain. My name will exist in this bathroom stall. How I last you all, push the plunger, catch tags and blast the wall. Ain't no telling where I can go from here. Hope I'm clear. I see through the smoke and mirrors. I left harder on purpose to provoke my peers. My life is overrated, man. I've been a joke for years. It's overrated, man. I've been a joke for years. And I don't need to tell y'all the times it's hard. And you don't need to tell me that I've been scarred. I'm not
you find your keys hanging from a strange place. It wasn't always me, but like sitting on a retaining wall or some shit next to a bus stop or some shit. How many people lose their keys? If I lost my keys, I had to go the whole day. If I lost my keys, I wasn't getting in the house. I wasn't getting in the fucking building and all that. Nope. Yeah, we had to have metal keys. We had those arcade reader things in 1993, 92. We didn't give anybody keys.
I guess it sounds better when I'm on the track. Need a storm man, I'm the drug war. I'm in that white room, walls are black. I do all of that. Call me back, let me know though. It's the no-goes. Running from imaginary people, no logos. Rip the photos, hot boys, your sister photos. Mr. Monkey Water.
There's 2 dozen books on top of it, but I got those books same time.
Sunny shit, $60, yeah, in the soul. You quick, that's the money quick. Stay come with this, yo. But when's this guy leaving? I bounced from the tele quick. Now I'm trying even. Still got the cash though. Delivers my game.
Oh, that's the Davenport too. I can't even read that.
Remember my name. Yeah,
the history of this neighborhood.
All of the stone cinders remain carved in all of the thrones. No judgment, can't trust my. So I catch a bus ride. 22-story swan top. But too much pride standing there on Julian. Family,
I know I'm gonna be
resolved in the day's work, simple soul sacrifice. No more pain, hurt, feel so cast the dice. Burn both ends, I gotta light this candle. I learned from old friends that my life's a gamble. Yeah, cause my life's a. And I don't need to tell y'all the times it's hard. And you don't need to tell me that I've been scarred. I'm not a fraud. Let me believe that I'm in charge. I got the keys and I'ma drive this car. Pain behind this bars. Need a minute, put my mind on course. Hollywood, pull my back, my feet will shine these stores. One hit, one fix, one more time, I toss, cracking my wrist. Used to find me climb the car. And I don't need to tell y'all the times it's hard. And you don't need to tell me that I've been scarred. I'm not a fraud. Let me believe that I'm in charge. I got the keys and I'ma drive this car. Pain behind these bars. Need a minute, put my mind on course. Hollywood, pull my back, my feet will shine these stars. One hit, one fix, one more time, I toss, cracking my wrist. Used to find me climb the car, yeah. Cadillac on, Makina bitch, yeah.
He runs and then has to flatten out to get under these doors. Little fat bastard. I got him.
Welcome to Big Ma Matters, a podcast about Big Ma people, politics, land, and water. I'm Glenn Wheeler.
That is a long delay.
Grandma Matters through Patreon or funds transfer. These are strange and difficult times. I hope.
New York niggas and Hollywood. We got niggas bigger smell that.
When it comes to money, I'm ever these screws. My niggas rob niggas, then they bring me their jewels. I used to ask God for things, but I would never get it. Now I'm just stealing. Ask God for forgiveness. You worry about the wrong man. I'm the shooter. Give a man an inch, and he think he the ruler. There's no I.D.
And that's what I'm talking about. How long you think I can stay afloat?
I know it's bad, but I'm high anyway.
It's like half-filled with styrofoam, half-filled with shoes.
God gotta pray, but I don't get it. Cause when God talk back to me, they say I'm just a pretty. I don't talk shit, I pull up pistols. I'm like a
but it's extended size, goddamn.
Throw money up, get ridiculous
comparison, but they're both candy, right?
I started with nothing and still have most of it. I'm pulling out hammers like jumping jaws of it. I can't remember the last time I got something. This doesn't decoration, nigga, so stop.
Bob around forever.
I'm a maniac, depressive, I'm passive, aggressive. You better spread the message. You know who the best is. Better have your best. I'm good, big, black, and ugly. I call that bitch precious. I sweat on my nose. They say that I'm an evil brother. I'm a walker. I see things and dream in color. You think it can't happen till you got flesh. You're supposed to make it right.
I wonder if there's a way I could stuff each one into some pieces of stuff, into the piece of stuff. No, I mean, that's serious. So when it does pop open, it's from compression, it'll still float around for a while. But from the plastic degrading and leaking, it'll start to grow roots and shit, and it'll probably fall apart. It's not helpful if it's not near land or anyway. The way water goes up and down the styrofoam, it'll end up on shore somewhere, and you're not rolling back into the water unless the tide comes up or something.
Can't believe they can't see through. I ain't be fucking.
You know, I can't figure out how to do this once, but I want to do it a million times. I'm just going to throw them in the fucking lake.
Use the mother nature gave you before all the time taking. I heard everybody out of my eye. I believe the hard folks, nigga, my sign. Listen, nigga, I'll make a deal with you. Stop lying on me, I'ma start telling the truth about you. About my hip-hop niggas and my hip-hop bitches. Think you niggas back now it's all the true wishes. And I'ma keep grinding till they close the curtain. I don't know what makes you so wet. Niggas burn, niggas burn. I carry so much heat, you think it was a western. Violence ain't the answer, you need to rephrase the question. Shit, I was born to be a pessimist. Even my blood type is B-type negative. Refuse to go quietly into the night. Live every day like it's your last one day of your life. We keep it clean, clean up with the guns. Stash all the money, and I'm going to get the funds. Good stroke, sticky, smoke guns. Grown man, B.I. Dad, like the sons. I don't give a shit, give a shit. Oh, we don't give a shit, give a shit. Talk to the world, I don't give a shit, give a shit. Oh, we don't give a shit, give a shit.
For you like a heart attack and molding. I'm saying the man not laughing, not you clapping. Kick. Come on, keep it up. Keep it up. Kick in the door while you in the bathroom.
Clap back, my people, everybody clap back. With my raza, everybody clap back. With my natives, everybody clap back.
I got two, imagine that.
Freedom's all I wanted, but I couldn't afford it. My baby's got the spirit, just brilliant and gorgeous. Oh yeah, it's a self-defense endorsement. Always a quiet when she about to load it, hold it. It's some more about to load it. Oh shit, and the whole body will support it. Go ahead, come on now, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm just an animal evolving on the planet, right? For fuck's sake, what is it you think I'm gonna reveal to the world?
We could do it on the record. Got killers on the team, we could take all of the pressure.
What happened to you when you smoked? Did you smoke a joint and turn gay? And you caught AIDS from the marijuanas? Did you smoke an entire marijuana to yourself and it fucked your head up? Was that a yes? Is that one for yes? Oh, you can see both of it. I'm using my foot. I'm just checking the clock. Right? What was the issue? I'm just an animal evolving on the planet. What if I start putting these dried fruits I'm finding in the springtime in the shelves with all these stupid pieces of white styrofoam shoveling them and throwing in the river? There's a monkey swinging from the tree.
You heard about me, word of mouth, bringing heat from the south. Cause I got up and got out, somehow I did it without no role models. I had no one to follow, only got my shit together when I put down the bottle. And all my people with it, protecting the spirit, strength in the struggle now. Holler if you feel it, said holler if you feel it. One more time, one more time. Clap back, with my people, we about to clap back. With my rasa, we about to clap back. With my name.
All sorts of uranium to keep the electricity on. I don't have a pack of matches for 10 cents. Thank you, Trudeau government 2020. How the fuck did that happen? Holy shit. So I can't count for shit. Guess I can, apparently. Holy shit, that is a hell of a delay on that. Surgeon General says he'll kill you if you smoke cigarettes. That was positioned perfectly, and now I fucked it up. The feng shui of the 5-gallon bucket. No, that was. I hate doing it. No, I just. Even when the camera's not on. What if somebody saw him doing it? What did you just do? I moved.
About my equilibrium, I need to
stand up like a person.
I need these banknotes in millions and pauses for my many men to lay up in the BNC, this D up in my.
I'm not gonna bother till like this shit stop. No, it's been 10 minutes straight of nonstop bullshit on the. See, it starts like a certain number of minutes ahead of the hour. This is their genius idea. They'll do this shit once an hour until their IP gets banned or something. I guess they're. I could just. You can do it with IP config and just release and start. You can unplug everything and turn it back on. You do the same thing. And they do that like 4 or 5 times, and then they go away for a little while. So I don't know. Are there 2 of you? Is your buddy doing it at the same time? There's a whole 2 of you. That's a. I believe the first D stands for distributed. Denial of service. What the fucking hell? I gotta. No, that's gonna distract me all the hell. But if I turn it off, Jesus Christ! Oh, for fuck's sakes! Oh, I can't believe how many problems I'm having with my fucking phone. But it's nothing new because the cops do it with warrants and shit. So we're used to this. I don't even think you're gonna bother. They call it skirt kitties for a reason. I hear nobody's. If there was anything important on the phone, I would turn it off when I wasn't using it. I would pull the battery out or some shit. I can't access any of the shit I'm trying to access. God damn. Why am I wasting time doing this? Because they somehow kill the audio. Oh, and there's no point in me doing any of this shit with no fucking sound unless that was like my intended way of doing it, and it wasn't. That would be writing stuff on a board or something for you to read at least. All right, motherfucker. So somehow that was the delay was getting longer. Like, it's like it was getting slower. All right, there's no sound. There's no. I can sit here silently and smoke weed. What if I lost my voice and my hearing? I would no, just I would type more on the live chat. I can't hear you. I'm not mute. It's stupid. I'm mute. I'm not mute. I can't speak in depth. See, I would have arguments, but I'd have to type. That's why I don't. You don't know how much typing is done in my life. Hello, mouse. Let's try this again.
Between my thighs, I fantasize about these angry guys. Killing fams, they never knew I want to murder guys. You were exiting murder, you want to earn your pies. Coming up with niggas moving all these hammers fly. I came up with the noodles, the hustle game was crucial. You govern, then they shoot you. Understand my whys? I can still be on my hammer shit. No, but the MC in me burning like this cannabis. I'm paramount on that list. Pick the flex you with the Sorrento. It's the only thing that's switching up. The game chill like mental. Yo, who are you is Kimbo? I've been broken, came up with, lost that and still cook.
I need a Canada flag this big to stick on this motherfucker. What I need duct tape with Canada flag on it, just two continuous red stripes, and like a maple leaf every so often. That's what I need. Duct tape, not toilet paper. I'm very upset. It would be very Canadian. I used to use the Sears catalog, so nothing is sacred.
I was the first female to
but it doesn't just pop off. That could float around a long time.
Principled of older heads. I'm surely about this bread though. When I was talking about my kinfolk, them years ending zero. There's deuces on the decade. You jump on so still fade. I'm coming through the fuck it up like Luke Cage. I'm wavy like a loose braid. I still on point. Come on, playing in the loose cage.
Money get mad is what I fantasize. Sex, money, and murder is what I fantasize. Sex, money, and murder is what I fantasize. Sex, money, and murder is what I fantasize. You were getting shot up, I was getting my bars up. I'm still getting caught when it
get the strength to stand up.
Sex, drugs, and murder for money. You coming from me, I'm fucking
I'm a monkey sitting here thinking too much. Monkeys started thinking too much and turned into us.
Trying your best. In this fight, we fight to the death. You bitches lost your sight and your breath. Taking your senses for granted. We came up here in Maryland, man.
I don't understand how anybody is building nuclear weapons or nuclear power plants on purpose to the degree they are. And it's like they're fucking them up on purpose. And it's like, oh, we didn't know. Well, we knew, but it's not our fault. Well, it's our fault, but we're not going to get punished. Oh, that guy's going to get punished because he was working that day.
These are kind of people never
brought to the money. It happens everywhere.
My work float like a stain in a damn shit. So I defend this bitch. I be strapped like
I don't believe there's anything really making my head itchy.
Boy, that ain't no reference. I love the glitzy 1911, my preference. Get you fired from your job with a severance. I kill the biggest bear like the Revenant. Don't wear your fur bits so everybody shares it. Fuck around with Charlie, so I'm getting on some murder shit. Big gun, then you know I'm gonna defend the turf with it. Bubble like a stripper on the floor when I'm working it. Shake up your vehicle like it's turbulence.
Oh, that's why I grabbed it. I haven't seen it
Keep
before.
explosives where it's turbulence. You feel them cold, they'll turn the heat on.
I start to see duplicate books in other people's libraries.
Put the poison in your curry dish. Mr. Obia, Mr. Pipe, Barbie hats and okra.
Not to be confused with the Street Lawyer, another one. But I didn't read this one. I read that one.
What's the one you know us? Best style and still get your throat cut. Sex, money, get murder is what I fantasize. Sex, money, get murder is what I
all this shit, I
fantasize.
can't believe I just tried to scratch me.
Sex, money, get murder is what I fantasize.
Stand up right.
Nah, they couldn't just start SICKLY, you know?
Free up the youth now.
See?
Free sick, free kilo, free John, free OG. Go
hard, leg loaded. Body DBS. All black on my clothing. X-Men, that's how we rolled in. Put it to you, have you jumping like the rose in. But you in your mouth, taking all your gold in. Put it to your next man, now his neck frozen. Now I'm dipping in the stolen, dripping in, I'm scoping. I see him leave him open. Big large gun, there's no poking. Pop out the pit, your head's open.
I think over that Rockaware logo a dozen times. That's how long I've had the jacket. It eventually wears off. But the logo didn't. That's embroidered. I didn't know that one would be so good.
The black flag always holds him. 5D, we be rolling.
You know why I'm wearing a Rockaware jacket? They just branded up, man. It's what I have, it's what fits, it's what didn't wear out. Yeah, $500 jacket. $1 dress shirts, polo shirts,
get it poppin'. Strap on my waist, you can tell by how I'm walking.
They both last,
almost got caught slipping shit, time you tripping. On his block, I'm sitting
the jacket.
Call it cabin, my niggas have me snapping. Now I'm sitting here, fighting on my enemy. Had to get my own strap, niggas didn't fend for me.
Another reason the Timberlands wear out, I abuse them. I wear them with fire.
Big bullets make the biggest niggas melt early. That's a nigga.
I think approximately the same price and approximately the same boots as what the two contracts that were awarded for the Canadian Forces. Slash combat, cross training, boot SUV with a solar panel, and a water osmosis unit.
I'm about to get down on my business. Deal with them other ones, no need for a witness. Hand me the ratchet, call me Mr. Fix It. Learn from
Less than 200, more than
stop complaining every day is a kid that's growing up. You got myself in the kitchen, fiends everywhere, pops whipping. I wanna move bricks, but a nigga hate tension. The strap I got on my waist stays kicking, and I be trained so I aim with precision. Hit him in this six pack, give him about 6 pack, and it's a rip rap.
Nigga, steel toes, plus they're electrically insulated. You don't try to electrically step in the butter or something. You'll die, I won't. I'll grab you.
Get it in and T.O. everywhere that we go. Niggas know how we roll, deeper than the motherfucker. Before I let the heat blow, creeping on you motherfuckers, just to let you know. I ain't sleeping on you motherfuckers, just to let you know that I'm ready and I'm firing. When I come through, nigga, don't be hiding. If I get caught, toss the clock, then I'm lying. Don't claim the sun and slowly be dying. You can find me in the story riding. If I'm strapped up, best believe it's on the waist. When we strapped up, put the strap in your face.
Everything's on this skeleton crew shit. Nobody wants to admit that.
Trying to get guap.
That's the two things I've seen now.
Looking for a better day. Mommy's on my back cause she heard I'm getting paid. But what can I say? Mommy knows that I'm safe. I either got dismissed or the fifth.
I saw a bus that sounded like it was operating normally, but the exhaust was kind of loud. It looked like smoke coming out everywhere, but it was not on fire. Yesterday or the day before. This may sound silly. These are like brand new, high-end diesel engine. Well, they're obviously every bus isn't brand new, but the engine design, the technology, and all that shit is like the most up-to-date version of this turbo diesel, and it's a hybrid and all that shit. What could I possibly say? You gotta do that. I just don't understand. I'm gonna wait till you're done. Well, is this about the timestamp? Bro? Jesus Christ, again. And now the clock's gonna go away. Wow, bro, I'm not reaching for the